This panel will highlight common pitfalls. More importantly, it will focus on what executives and teams can do differently to ensure GenAI efforts translate into real business value. Yeah, stage is yours.
Please.
Ladies first? Okay. Should we sit like on the...
That would be good, yes.
Okay, Annalisa, you in the middle.
That sounds good.
I'll take the side. So, also hello from my side. Hello to everybody who's here, and also to you folks for joining us today in this panel. As I was thinking today in the morning, what I should ask, I mean, I sent some questions already as preparation, but it is the topic that we have today, why AI projects actually fail, is a wider one than you can actually handle that whole topic within this session. But nonetheless, I think it's everything about exchanging, also discussing and finding out what you folks are developing and doing in your very areas. And I will be holding this panel or moderating this panel, let's say a bit dynamically. Okay, so in a dynamic way that we will go with the flow and make sure that all of us have more or less equal time. And at the same time, please, if you have any questions from audience, make sure that you keep them for the last part of the panel where we can explicitly address those together. Yeah, is it fine? So welcome. I think the introduction was done already. I would, as I am, always love to start with lady first, yeah? IBM. So now if I talk about IBM, the first thing that comes to my mind, wrongfully most probably, yeah, is IBM Watson. I was working many years ago. Okay, because you change that product and it develops and it evolves. So the starting point of the discussion is, all of us know roughly 80 to 85%, or some say more or less, AI projects and data projects actually fail, right? This is something that we know since many years. What do you folks do, especially in IBM, within your product portfolio that you develop, and also when you outreach to your customers, making sure that the AI projects they are developing do not fail? So what's your major, focus in those kind of projects?
Am I the only one without microphone? Did I forget something?
You could choose over there. Yeah.
Okay.
We're the same.
We get a second one.
Thank you. Well, in terms of projects and in terms of portfolio, and they kind of go hand in hand in IBM, right? So the things that we focus on is, first of all, that everything we do has a business value. So we work also a lot with, for example, enterprise design thinking and innovation designer, and always talk with our customers and try to understand really their pain points. And we don't want to do GenAI just because right now it's cool. So this from let's say, and then from a technical perspective, something that can integrate into the customer environment, right? And so what are their requirements? What we have seen in the last months is, for example, the requirements for AI solution that can be run on the customer side on premises. So this is part of our portfolio, that everything that we can run in the cloud, we can also run on-prem. And so, for example, the approach to pilot is kind of that. When we do a pilot for 2-3 weeks, we will do it in the cloud because, of course, it's quicker, but we make sure that everything we do then can be productionalized kind of easily. Going back to the portfolio, there is a platform. When you said Watson, it's like now the platform is called Watson X. And there have been a lot of discussion on what the X stands for, but yeah, now it's Watson X, and there is Watson X AI, which would be a platform where you can access all the possible or a lot of AI models. So you can, switch, plug and play the model that you want, not only IBM models, but also open source model or models of other vendors that have collaboration. And then the other platform is called Watson X Data. So that's where you can find vector databases or data warehouses, etc. And then the third one, which I guess for GenAI or AI in general in production is the most important. And there is a talk going on about it, actually, from one of our partners in one of the other 2 rooms, is what's the next governance. So to make sure that once we start a use case, we have a product and we always check, is GDPR respected, the UAI Act, etc. And that is not limited to one use cases, but it gives you an overview of all the use cases that are in the company.
Okay, thank you. Back in time, there was a very interesting project at Lufthansa. I was working for the company back then, and at that time, like 7 years ago, IBM Watson in its form at that time was actually quite tricky to train. With all the pictures and everything, was a already very functioning module. I think with the step of further developing Watson as you had it to this data platform and so on, gives a head start to some of your customers who can really evolve with that technology. So thank you for the question. Answer, actually, sorry. I will now go to Ruben. We know each other for a while, especially through your very valuable activities in AI for AI Austria's board member there. I know that you have been heavily active in latest years. Now, a while ago, you already founded your own AI company called Klartext, which is quite thrilling to me. Especially, what do you folks tell to your future customers or actually existing customers to address if they do not want to fail with their project? So what are you folks doing? Because most probably you're always in this mood of a situation of arguing for a new solution to solve their problems. But what is your major focus in doing so?
Yeah, first of all, hi guys. Yeah, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of unfamiliar faces. That's even better. Yeah, thanks, Alin, for having me. I still want to know what the X stands for, by the way, but we can come to that later. What do I tell our customers? I think a main reason why AI projects fail are multiple reasons, but I think first of all is expectation management. A lot of projects are done and a lot of RAG chatbots are done, but it's with GenAI we're still working with like topics and technologies where we don't know how good they work, especially when the customer didn't show us the whole database. So what we do in Klartext AI, and also what my CTO always prohibits me going out and telling everybody, hey, we can do this project, we can do this product, unless we didn't had like 2 or 3 workshops with the customer, because I think the emphasis on crisp PM on the first step, if somebody knows the crisp PM process, the business understanding is the most valuable part. And if you do that correctly, if you have a good business understanding, if you took 2, 3 workshops more time, you know all the problems most of the time and the risks that can occur. And often it's not with a copy and paste RAG chatbot done, but yeah, we like to just use all the tools that AI can offer. And to be honest, in 95% of the time, we can do automation also with basic code, which is still the best solution there is. And it's only the 4 or 5% where we use generative AI or also deep learning a lot, and also some classical machine learning a lot. So we like to use in Klartext AI like all the instruments. We don't only build chatbots. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Now coming to you, Diogo. What is your focus at Erste when you approach the topic of opening up or starting new AI projects or pilots? I think as a lead data scientist, you have to deal a lot with expectation management on a daily basis, because folks expect you to save the world sometimes as well, that we cannot do always. But therefore, how do you deal with that aspect of expectation management? Because we'll come to the technical part later. So what's your take overall, focusing on what those folks actually said before you? Yeah.
Definitely. So first of all, hello everyone. Very good to be here. You are actually a very good moderator, because I was about to get into that topic, the expectation management, and you rightly pointed so.
A new possibility for me opened up today. Thank you.
So definitely expectation management, even as a lead data scientist, so being in the middle of the business and the technical, working on both sides. So it's not only in the middle, it's the whole, trying to do this connection, expectation management is always there to your sponsors, to your customers, whatever is this relationship. I think being transparent and also trying to explain with the most context what AI is capable of doing it, and being able to push back when there is high expectations coming from, well, non-technical people. Because it's fair that this is happening. It's fair that this is happening because it's happening so fast. And in this case, with ChatGPT and all the other models, it brought us so much closer to what AI is capable of doing. And everyone is now using it in their private lives. But actually, to bring this to business value, like here the expectation needs to be better managed. So I think, yeah, that would be.
Yeah. Also, being active in a similar role, I think, aside from expectation management, which is a very important one these days, especially right now, where people are, wish thinking. Also, most of the time expecting, let's say, magic from several technologies. But overall, I think, aside from expectation management, one big challenge is also setting up the tech stack. Yeah, because you have a lot of tools, what to go with and what not to do, and how do you focus yourselves within that jungle of tools and technical platforms and all these things. Yeah. So the next question is, I hope it's not too technical, but it's directing in you would guess in a direction which goes rather into like architectural, tech stack related topics. As many of my peers these days ask me like, yeah, we have copilots and we have all these new tools involved, but what to do actually? Yeah, a RAG is built maybe very fast, but then you find out afterwards it's actually not the solution you're looking for. Maybe you do not have even enough data to train it, the picture models or computer vision models and so on. So how do you consult and how do you exchange with your customers from IBM's perspective when customers are approaching you with this giant expectation of solving everything with a red button or black button? Yeah, it would be.
It's funny that you mentioned RAG, because it has been a little bit our, I don't know, nightmare, or I don't know how to say it. So, because I think you always need to start with the problem. And what we have seen with generative AI is customer always starts with, we want to do generative AI now, please implement a RAG for us. And I guess that's, is equally important for a company, the marketing side and the PR side, and see that, show that you are up with what's happening in the technology. But I think it's funny that you mentioned RAG, because that's actually the main challenge. So, so from the technology perspective, I think a lot of time, so the first question that we ask, or when we have a problem, is like, do you actually, for example, now we have a lot of agentic AI, right, and RAG coming up. Like, is there really something that is needed, or what's needed actually is to improve a workflow? And like you said before, that's the main, that's usually the answer, right? There is a workflow and the pain point that the customer has, and this is what needs to be improved. It's not necessarily a RAG, and it's not necessarily agentic AI, even if, of course, we are very happy to do a RAG or to sell the agentic AI solution.
Oh, that I know for
right?
sure.
Yeah, so, yeah. And so this is from the technical perspective. Then something really important is, and if we think about agentic AI even more, what tools should we integrate with, right? So what is already there that the customer has and is using? Can it be SharePoint, a CRM system, and what's already there, and how do we integrate the solution of our generative AI with it? And this is kind of an important point, because if we do something that is completely independent, then it's going to be a cool pilot, a cool demo, and it's going to stand there. Your question was more about the architecture in
like
case?
How you mitigate that kind of expectations. Like, if I have IBM already, and please build me a technical environment where I can do this and that. I mean, you still like consult them with a realistic approach to the projects.
Yeah,
I think.
And that and the expectation management is as it is technical as it is talking with the people, and a lot of, I think, education and upskilling and explaining what generative AI is. I think, like you said, since it has to do with language or with images, is much more understood by people, right? And so the expectations are much higher because they can really understand the result. But if we think about it, when we were doing a model to, for example, predict the probability of repayment, the output is a probability that was not taken blindly and used, right? There were always some rules, there were always a human looking up on it. And so this is kind of, I think, the approach that we should have with generative AI. A lot of times, the customer expects, for example, the answers to be perfect, or there needs to be a lot of explanation why they're not perfect. And my approach, or our approach in general is, and I think this is a conservative approach, so the better no answer than a wrong answer, which is appreciated by the customer. But I think in the end, what you said about CRISP-DM and the approach that we had in data science, right? Define the business problem, define the metrics, the technical metrics that match the business metrics. We kind of skipped that a little bit.
It's a very good one. We'll
right?
take that and discuss regarding success criteria for such projects, definitely. But I think it's a very good one. So Ruben, coming back to you, thank you so much. Is like, if you're now approaching new customers with Klartext AI's portfolio that you have and the projects you already deliver, it's usually not a technical problem at the first sight, right? So it's not, technically we can do literally a lot, most probably, but it's much more the organizational setup, the data sets you need to train, and the quality of data and stuff like this, right? So it's not something new we haven't been dealing with since 20 years, but it's still the more or less similar challenges actually that follow also in AI projects. Is it also your view?
Yes, I think the first step that I'm always doing at Klartext is teaching the customer that he doesn't have a technology problem, but he should rather have a business problem. Because too many times we're just building technology for technology purposes, and that shouldn't be the goal. Like tech stack wise, what I always say, what we are using at Klartext is like the answer for every project. I'm coming out of research, but the perfect answer for everything actually, it depends. You know, so it really depends on the problem. You know, the main factors are sensitivity of the problem, what do you want to achieve, what is the real-time problem, what is our database. So we are very flexible. We have to be flexible because that is our purpose. We want to really build domain-driven design. So we got to go with very flexible here. So I never have a question to this answer. And
yes, you answer.
Yeah, if somebody has,
so you underlined the answer more.
If somebody has a question to that answer, I can assure you he is not there to solve your business problem, but to solve his case.
Yeah. Interesting. So anything to add from Esther's perspective?
In terms of technology stack, we have basically everything there.
Same.
Multi-vendor
sometimes
problem.
Part of the problem.
Yes.
Where to start with and where to develop.
So as one of the major financial institutions in Austria and Central European Europe, Central and Eastern European, we are mostly a company of big operations. Right, I mean everything that is related with payments. So it's not easy to bring innovation to something that needs to be stable because it's about our financials, it's about our money. No one wants to have any doubt about if something is going to happen with your money. So, of course, the core business and the core attention goes into that. The way we're doing it at the moment. And I think it's not rocket science. We have a center of innovation that sits exactly between these big two departments, because there is the business side, and then there is Erste Digital, which, by the way, there were already some interesting presentations here. And we sit together as a center of innovation, and actually the problems come from the business side. Of course, we on our side, on the Risk AI Lab, we do our research because we need to be up to date with what's possible and what's not possible, and then we receive different use cases from the business side. In this case, from risk focus, but digital business from the business part. And well, what we do initially is in cycles of 3 months, so per quarters, we try to solve these business problems with use cases. Some of them, if they are not AI related and they actually go more in the direction of something that is deterministic, then that's the type of problem that should go directly towards the digital. So to the digital part, to the more stable, where the software engineering core is there. And yeah, so what we do is we try to innovate it depending on the problem. Some of them might not even be good enough to start because, well, the solution is not about the GenAI part. In some cases, yes, and actually in a lot of cases, we have a lot of interest, always a lot of use cases. We do a lot of we have very good results, but actually, it's always in going to the title of where GenAI projects fail. I think a lot of the POCs that then finish and to go from these lab to the DSC Digital, the guys with the software engineering. This is where a lot of the workflows should work better, and they don't. Also because I think in GenAI currently, and this comes from the fact that the user experience of working with these models is easier than ever with the LLMs. It also makes that a lot of people that get into this development do not have, for example, software engineering skills, software engineering background. And of course, there are different profiles of contribution, but I think having these notions from the beginning to the end, starting from the business side, but already knowing, so you're building this pilot, and of course you need to have the AI knowledge, but also doing it already a bit in the direction of what software engineering, what are the best patterns, the design patterns, the best practices for this to work and to continue. And this goes through, there were also a lot of already very interesting presentations from the Databricks guys, for example, on how to perform this, go through data architecture, evaluation, observability. I think all of this is very important. So from the sponsor side, you always have, like, they want everything for yesterday with the expectation management, but also from who's building it. I think, like, it's good that GenAI is bringing a lot of new technicians, but it's also very important to understand that it's not only building a pilot and then it's there. So actually going from understanding this GenAI part, but continuing learning what do I need to do more from here onwards. And I think this goes maybe not with the conventional software engineering practices. Of course, a lot of these needs to adapt. Maybe not, of course. I mean, I think with AI, I mean, it's new technology. A lot of the capital that goes into it will fail. I mean, that's what innovation is about. But learning with the process, and in my personal view, I think a lot of the software engineering best practices are going to be part of AI development.
In future and now? Yeah, definitely true. Definitely true. So the next question is actually coming out of the ideas and aspects you provided in last, let's say, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes actually. I've been thinking about this question: what are the success criteria of such project? Because if I need to expectation set and manage and understand as an organization why I would need this GenAI tech stack or tool or an algorithm, doesn't matter what, or a model, yeah, I need actually AI literate people. I need an AI literate organization that knows where's the difference between classical AI agents and maybe Gen AI solutions. So what is what, right? What is machine learning? What is data science? I still have this feeling within big organization as yours and as also mine, you know, sometimes it is really tough to set the expectations because folks have no idea. I'm not accusing anybody of having no, any ideas, but as an organization, we tend to run in different directions if something new comes up. So long story short is, what can be success criteria, like KPIs for such GenAI projects that are coming definitely and happening right now? Are these purely cost-driven KPIs, you think? Like, I saved this amount of money and then I'm successful. Yeah, sorry for the long anecdote, but the failed projects of 80+% does come from somewhere, right? Most probably, as classical data science projects, AI projects or AI implementations are also a journey, actually, and it's not an end goal you achieve right ahead and you know where the ship is heading. So is it like organizational KPIs you see or we should be pushing, or cost-driven only, or something like how much of time I saved to fully automatize a process, or to contact the customer through that tool? What are the best practices you saw in your last projects and ongoing ones that we could maybe go away today? Yeah, maybe Diogo, start with you to have a bit, yeah?
Yes. So I think having the, in this case, the business owner. So because when you're starting a pilot, POC, I mean, the whole idea of a POC is so you want to prove this concept. I mean, you have this initial idea that might make sense, but actually it is hard to establish strong KPIs at that stage because, well, otherwise it should be a project already if you're able to establish a KPI, right? So again, it depends. There is no easy answer. But I think a very important thing, again, connected with expectation management is also, so keeping the business owner, so the subject matter expert of this use case, very well connected through the whole stage, so the whole process. And not only the business owner, but also the sponsor of the project. Because usually the sponsor, of course, has the interest. I mean, if it's driving it, if it's giving the capital for it, then it's interest in seeing the successful KPIs. And I mean, this is new technology and it's very exciting to start new things, but actually changing the mindset from starting new things to finish the ones that we have currently ongoing, this is very important. And actually, so again, like driving these, try to be like, to push back a bit on the scope.
That's a cool one, yeah.
Being able to, again, I think being able to keep the business owner and the sponsor in the whole loop. I mean, starting in the pilot until the end. So in the end of the pilot, and then continuing in the project to actually to see the full development. Because I think the KPIs also develop by themselves. And for example, going into more details, in practice, some of our KPIs are, of course, cost operating, so cost cutting, so improving our costs. But others go, for example, into more the direction of, I mean, risk management is our most big business. So goes in the direction of,
like sometimes customer satisfaction.
Yes,
and
also, for
that
example,
if you like putting
now,
up a chat solution, what are the
Exactly.
customers actually
Exactly.
thinking of the solution? So this could be.
That's definitely, we're actually working currently with that, not directly on the risk side, but on the George side with the app, with the the George, and since we have 7 countries in Romania and Czech Republic, we also we already have deployed these solutions, and yes, that's definitely one of the KPIs that are established for more on the retail side for customer satisfaction. But on the other side, going for the risk is like actually improving how you get the insights for risk management. If you look more on the corporate side, being able, for example, now there's always new problems happening in the world. This year is the year of geopolitical risk. So the question, and for example, in the past, it wasn't so much the attention. So the question now this year is, so what can we do with these AI, with AI technology, specifically GenAI, or maybe with more traditional AI, to give us better insights about, for example, the companies, in which countries they are, how are they affected by the tariffs. Like all of this stress testing is something that in the past maybe it wasn't so important, and now it starts to become more and more important. So this is also a lot of what you do. And in this case, like you can get some direct KPIs. I mean, starting with the actual satisfaction of the people who work with it, because they also have more metrics, more indicators. But usually you see these results more on the long term, because that's what risk management is about.
I would not challenge this, but maybe build on that, Ruben.
Yep.
I'm with you, absolutely, but I still would love to challenge the idea of doing it on the long scale, as we see hundreds and hundreds of pilots never see the light of the day. We invest time and money as organizations and then fail or do not continue. So I think we need to also develop some like best practices in this early stage of discovering AI tools, and especially in GenAI field where a lot is happening, right? So the idea is, what do you think, having also been activities with AI Austria and seeing a lot what organizations in DACH region, especially in Austria, are doing. Now maybe you change your hat to your AI Austria board function. What do you see, Ruben? Do you see any kind of best practices developing in that direction?
Best practices, also for KPI-wise, it's just, I can't give you a long answer. It's completely user-centric, and KPIs are ever-changing. You can have quantitative KPIs, cost reduction, mean time to repair, depends on which sector you are coming from, but you can also have very indirect measurable KPIs that only can be described qualitatively, like just providing the culture, developing the culture of failing also, or getting AI literal in a company. I was just discussing that before with a very exciting production company who also said, they have 10, 12 projects, AI projects going on in parallel, and it's okay if 8 of them are failing, It's just about that learning progress so that we can get there in 4 or 5 years. And also to add to that, I think the best practice is to have, I always say, and that is maybe the key answer, always have a short focus and always have a long focus. In Austria, you can also say, einmal vom Fuß geschossen und einmal weit geschossen. Sorry, that's the only German thing I'm going to say. But, you got to make sure that you have the quick wins. You can take the quick wins away, but AI is such a volatile field, You can't build, you just have to make sure that you have a solution that you can adapt, that you build model agnostic, that you can be sure to, in 3 years, when better models are there, you can adapt to that. And behind this short, quick wins, you need to have a long focus where you implement these requirements, that the short projects are agnostic, adaptable, and you also have a culture of learning. And these are like the soft factors, so always short focus, long focus. I think that's the only thing I would say to keep in mind, and then you're on a good way.
So well said, best practice. Maybe hopefully in upcoming months and years, maybe months, better. In years, I wouldn't count this in this round. So what's your take on that? So
okay, I agree that with GenAI projects, we focus much more also on the user experience than on specific business metrics. So, of course, cost, of course, time, of course, customer satisfaction. But with GenAI projects, we see the customer really wanting us to, for example, give the prototype to their user and, go through the experience, go to the flow and collect feedback. What's my opinion? So first of all, we are trying also internally, our team, to kind of use an adapted crisp DM for generative AI, which is not that straightforward to do. But as a data scientist, one of the roles has always been being able to communicate with the business stakeholders and kind of try to explain what you've done in business terms, right? And the metrics you have chosen in business terms. And I think I see what you said before, Diogo, about we need to think about the software engineering practices also in GenAI project. I see a little bit of an opposite trend. So I see a lot of projects using GenAI with, okay, we just do an API call, right? There is an endpoint and I get text back and the user says text, so this is great. And so what I think is that we still need the data science mindset where we think about actually how do we make sure that the output that we have, that in this case it can be text, for example. Of course, you can use GenAI also for classification, etc., especially where we deal with text. But let's think about chatbots or RAG, right? You need to make sure that you measure the outcome. And you are sure to say, for example, okay, I've had a recall at K of so much. This means that such and such documents were retrieved, etc. And I see this is still missing somehow, because it's so easy to call an endpoint and get text and everything looks cool. So I think in the part of CRISP-DM, this role of the data scientist of defining a ground truth, defining the metrics, translating the metrics in business sense is also something where, we should develop on. What we have seen is sometimes in both cases, both that we have done, the quick and dirty, and then gave the pilot to the user, or that we have actually done some experimentation because we had more time. The part of the user experience is crucial, and expectation management, because when you give something to the user, they tend to stress test it. And if you stress test a pilot, then you're going to get bad feedback. Yeah, so.
Yeah, thank you. Now, we're heading to our last question. Actually, it's actually not a question, but much more like a wish, okay? I would ask you folks to speak out a wish you would place here today in this round that you would expect from the community. It can be a community event. It can be more of something. So I will start to give you a direction where this is heading. My very wish would be organizations as ours would become more data literate, actually. Yeah? While we are developing these kind of technologies to serve our customers, as organizations sometimes I still have the feeling that we do not grasp the depth of technologies as GenAI solutions and try to solve problems with that solution that are not made for this or that cannot be addressed. So this would be a very, very deep wish from my side. I would see companies as ours, investing a bit time and money into to develop this whole thing. Also, push harder in direction of successful projects. Yeah. Okay, AI projects, of course, yeah. So then, maybe start with you, Ruben, and we go this direction, yeah?
Tough one. My wish. I always tell it at the end of my events, might be not politically correct, but let your pants down. It's always the quote I send everybody networking with, because I think that's one of the biggest points. We have a lot of great technological people. We had a lot of great domain experts, but I have the feeling we have a culture of not telling our problems or challenges too often because we think they're dumb or we think that could have been solved like way years ago. And that is the key takeaway from my side. Just open up, go to people, tell your problems. If you don't have any address or any expensive consultant, PwC or someone to talk to, go to AI Austria. We're an NGO. We don't make money out of it. Tell us your problem and we can tell you 2-3 people you can talk to that can solve.
So transparency, I hear.
Transparency, exchange.
Yeah? Exchange and transparency. It's a really good one. Thank you. Please go ahead.
I would say see GenAI as a tool, as one of many tools to solve a problem and not as the solution itself. And I think this is also for companies like ours, something that, so take a step back, think about the problem,
buzzwords,
don't
right?
start.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. It's a very good one as well. Diogo, no pressure, okay?
So I would definitely reiterate on all the topics, and I will go specifically for example, AI Austria. I think this idea of creating these good practices, these standards around the community, I think we all learn with each other, and this is definitely something very important. Each tool has its advantages, so let's give a step back to look at the business and do the right screening or the best possible screening, and also on data literacy. I think, so we always need to keep learning, and actually, every data, every kind of data speaks a different language, and I think it's very important to not only, for example, dump all of your data in a table. Sometimes the right format that can actually unlock the whole value of your project is structuring as a graph or a time series, or I think this data literacy goes a lot in this direction, and I think I'm a huge fan of data architecture before the machine learning, because if you're actually able to enrich your data before going to the model with AI, for example, with these chatbots, I mean, the context, I mean, the RAG idea of having your data vectorized and finding the most similar content to your question. But actually, I mean, in these documents, or on any other type of data formats, as subject matter experts, you know that somehow concepts, entities, topics connect to each other. Actually, for example, these agents, these RAGs, they should also be able to understand this, so that when you're doing the retrieval, maybe with the graph in the background, they know that if the most similar part of the document to your question is this one, and there are 2 or 3 more concepts in this part of the document, then you should also maybe read this other about this. And then actually your answers start getting even more contextualized. And this is what data architecture, data management is about. It's about improving your data literacy and finding the right data solution for your problem.
So good for you, good for us. Christmas is ahead, okay? So let's see if the wishes come true. I at least have to thank you now, really, for participating in this discussion and this exchange round much more, being open to the questions and also bringing value to stage. Yeah, thank you so much. Now I would open up you for the opportunity to ask a question if you folks want. If you have something that you want to ask to some of us, please go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for this wonderful discussion. The topic is where GenAI project fail. My question is about when GenAI project succeed, when they have success. But that deserves like a special, conference about the success of the GenAI project. The question is more about teams, about skill sets, about 20 projects in parallel, which I built. In your experience with your teams, with your customers' teams, what is the skill set of the team building the GenAI tools, which lead to the success of GenAI project with a higher probability? Like, there is no good and there is no right and wrong answers. Your experience, your thoughts on that.
Very good question. I have an easy answer. I think like 3 people that are needed. Good domain experts, open domain experts is the first one. Good AI team, and also good IT team that makes it operative, integratable, the solution. So I think these are the three team members you should have. Good domain expert, good AI expert, good IT infrastructure expert.
I have another one we didn't, fix this answer, okay? But I have a 4th one to add to yours, which is a good community.
Pays for it.
Which is a good community. Because if you're among yourself and not exchanging and opening up your doors to see and learn what others are doing and, take the right learnings out of failed projects, this is not going to work. So I think I would add the 4th one. Be active in the community, exchange, and make sure that you are also delivering an added value and transparency to the others doing, maybe not to the other banks, okay? I don't know, but you can come any day to insurances and exchange ideas and other organizations to see how folks are doing or addressing similar topics coming not from your domain of business, maybe, something like this. So a community, I would suggest.
Yeah, and specifically for the team IT and architect that knows the customer infrastructure and environment, and we always bring a UX designer with us, at least at the beginning of the project and for user testing. That was new for me when I started IBM, but it's been very, very good. Good experience.
Can I also add something to the competitor things?
Yeah.
I think also competitors should work together. I think we're in a position where Europe needs, global competitiveness, and we will lose it altogether, and we don't want to die in beauty, So we have done a lot of projects where actually we work with multiple competitors together, and it worked out great, and it benefited all. So
I take it back, Diogo. You can.
No, but I can
Diogo is like,
definitely
I
add-
don't want to.
I can definitely add to that.
You don't have to.
No, I can definitely add to that. Actually, Erste and Haiffeisen, we have a good, always stable and good exchange of best practices. They start some technologies earlier than us, then we learn from them. Actually, I think this feeling of going together as a Europe, at least in Erste, this is one of the main messages always. So this is very much present, even on these big corporations, and that's very important. I agree with all the others. I would just add a new thing, not on the skill set, but actually on the evolution of your team. And what we see, I mean, this case is a bit too adapted maybe to a big corporation like Erste. I mean, we are 45,000 employees across 7 countries. But I think in every IT project where it's always clear is that the team that does the 0 to 1 is not, like the team members are not the same that do the 1 to 100. And continuously like that. I think like, of course, like it's important to have this exchange of knowledge from like the team is the same, the roles are the same, but the people actually doing the job, it changes. So it's always very important also to make it sustainable in a way that if someone decides to continue their career somewhere else, which happens so often now, you actually need to make it sustainable for someone to maybe have documentation or have the right context to continue doing that job. And at Erste, when, for example, George started 10, 12 years ago, it was like 30 people, now it's 500 only on George, like usability. It's like from that starting team, like it changed a lot. A lot of people left, and it continued growing. So I think that's an important.
As you see, we take it very seriously with answering questions.
Yeah,
So,
it was a good question though.
any other short questions and short answers? Please go ahead.
Hi. So I don't know if it's a short question, but do we have some experience with data privacy and GenAI projects, or how to go about this? And in my opinion, this is slowing down the GenAI projects, maybe not making them fail, but how could we speed up this process?
How to what?
How could we speed up the GenAI project success, I would say, or implementation against the data privacy that is actually stopping this? So
Well, what I can add there, I mean, that's basically, it's a governance topic. I mean, I think we didn't touch much of the tech stack. You actually touched the point, but we did not really go much in that direction. But nowadays there are already, and there were already today, some good presentations about keeping your data always within the same tech stack. And I think from our side and what we do in practice, this is a good thing. I mean, you go Databricks, Snowflake. I think the idea of having this AI, this governance from beginning until the end, and actually then being able to control the whole flow of your data, and then with different role bases for the privacy, and so I think that will be my. I mean, it's not my specialty, so I'm not in touch with that topic, but it would be my advisory, my added value.
Yeah, I would also bring a short one: experience selection of tech stack. I think that speeds data privacy up, and data privacy is the main factor on how the tech stack needs to look like, where the things are hosted and stuff. So, yeah, experience selection of tech stack. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't see any more questions, so.
Yeah, just the
Christ.
rest.
But
You don't guys
thank
see it,
you
but there's a
for your
screen and
time.
it wasn't red.
Thank
Please
you.
finish.
Thank you for your time, and yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for participating. Enjoy the session.
Thank you.
upcoming, yeah?
Thank
Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you so much.